Okay, so once upon a time I was in 4th grade and we had this really bitchy teacher that nobody liked lol. So one day this rad looking whore gave me back my quiz that I stayed up all night with my mom to study for, and I got a 70 since all the kids in the class hated her. We plotted something so evil you couldn't even imagine. Later that day, when she was handing out homework, I tripped her and she fell in the fish tank and the glass broke everywhere. She broke her hip and had to go to the hospital, but that bitch deserved it.
One time when I was in middle school, I stayed home. My mom went to go get a facial, so she said she wouldn't be able to pick up her phone if I called. I was watching a movie when I heard people walking on the roof. I figured it was just the people who worked on our roof. But they started banging on the garage and trying to get in. I started to freak out and tried to call my mom, but then remembered she wouldn't pick up her phone. I tried to call my best friend, but she was at school. At this point, people are banging on the door and walking on the roof and etc. I thought I was going to fucking die, so I grabbed a knife and hid in the closet. I called the police and I'm sobbing hysterically. I thought I was going to die. The police came and the people ended up being our AC workers that my mom forgot to tell me about. To this day I am mortified when they're around.
So in year like 2 of primary school, I used to sleep in a tree during break, because I wanted my fucking Prince Charming to come and wake me up, and since I was small in year 2 I fit. One day like 3 years later, I thought I could still fit in the fucking tree and I was bored at lunchtime, so I went to the tree and maneuvered around until my fat ass was comfortable. I thought I was alright, but then the fucking bell rang and I couldn't get out of the tree. I didn't want to bring attention to myself, so I tried pushing myself out, but my chubby year 5 ness was like no. I was stuck in the tree, and since it was at the back of the playground, nobody saw me. I started bawling my eyes out cause I honestly thought I was gonna die in the tree. This teacher came around to make sure everyone had gone to class, and of course, I didn't, because I was stuck in this big ass tree. He was like, WTF are you doing? I just looked up at him with my ass stuck in a tree like, what the fuck does it look like I'm doing? And he tried to help me out, but it wasn't working cause that shrimpy motherfucker couldn't lift me, so he had to go and get the caretaker, and by this time everyone was in class.
Sorry I didn't post yesterday, lol. I was at the beach the whole day. Anyways, let's move on to the story. So when I was 11, I had a 5-year-old sister and we went down to my aunt and uncle's house for the weekend. And I was in the bathroom and hear really loud music coming from the basement. So I walked down and saw my aunt in a fishnet dress and heels teaching my naked 5-year-old sister how to pole dance and was throwing ones at her. I was so confused, and then she asked me if I wanted to join and I just walked away so confused.
I will never, and I mean never, forget the time that we had a male sub in high school and a girl asked to go to the restroom and he said sure. So she grabbed something and he heard a wrapper and he was like, oh, if you're gonna eat candy, you can do it in here, but you have to share with everyone in the class. And she was like, what? And he was like, well, I heard the wrapper. And she whips out a tampon, shoves it in his face, and she goes, you wanna share? Oh! Girl, savage.
My mom would always have boyfriends that were pretty young, which weirded me out, but I never really cared because I sort of hated her. One time she had a new boyfriend. He was actually really cute and was only like 27, so I'd always try to stay at home when he was around, which is fucked up. I know, but I don't care. He was a chill dude, and one day when my mom was at work, he was at my house shirtless and I was like, oh my god, he's kinda hot. Anyways, let's just say I got pretty H-word, so I went to my room and played with myself, and I was trying to keep quiet until I heard a knock on my door. I was freaking out and all of a sudden my mom's boyfriend walked in and he said, I can hear you. In that moment my heart dropped. I couldn't get any words out of my mouth. He walked out of my room casually while I was like, what the hell?
So I used to know this girl who would constantly say things like, guys, sorry, I'm so ugly. I just ruined the whole group photo, I'm sorry. And then everyone would automatically comfort her and be like, no, you're beautiful, you shine. And then she would be like, no, but thank you. And she would do the same thing over and over again, trying to get everyone's attention. So eventually, I got tired. So the next time she came to me saying, I'm so ugly, I was like, you know what? You are. She was like, what'd you say? And I was like, bitch, if you think you're ugly, I can crop you out of the photo. The fuck do you want me to tell you? I'm not the one who made you look like a...
Okay, so my mom has this friend and she has twin daughters. And they're like really fucking weird and think they're witches or something. So my mom forced me to go over their house when I was 14 and we had a sleepover. So everything was going okay for the first like 15 minutes. Then they started saying how they needed to do a ritual with human blood tonight, and the one of them mentioned that they were on their period. It was a full moon that night, so literally they brought a popsicle mold upstairs and the one girl just bled into it, and I swear it had been like 25 minutes. Then they filled the rest up with water and froze it, and they went outside at 3 a.m. and ate their period blood popsicles as I watched in horror. I told my mom about it and we never spoke to them again, lol. I was in middle school. I was shamed for my body and I wouldn't eat for days, and I would cover my stretch marks with foundation and always wear makeup, and one day I walked into school and the super popular jock came up to me and gave me a hug and said that I am beautiful and said not to listen to the group of popular girls, and he was my crush. So I blushed and felt good about myself, and to make me feel better I started to work out and got super fit, so I started playing soccer and the popular girls were jealous. BC the jock, my crush, was talking to me every day and we would eat lunch together, and one day the meanest girl in school dumped her entire food tray on my head and said, "Go near him again and I'll kill you. I'm going to call the jock Jimmy anyway." I said, "I'd like to see you try," and she threw a punch and I ducked and she went across the table and broke her arm, and Jimmy gave me his sweatshirt and his pants and then he wore his gym shorts, and me and Jimmy are dating and the mean girl is still obsessed with him.
When I was in the 5th grade, there was this boy who had a really big crush on me, and one day he gave me a card and it was an invitation to his birthday party. Obviously I didn't want to go cause I was the only girl going and I just really hated the kid. He kinda smelled funny too. So when he asked me if I was going, I didn't know what to say because at the time I was a nice person, so I said yes.
So for Christmas a few years ago, my mom labeled a present for all of us kids from her, and when we opened it, it was a positive pregnancy test, and we were all so excited until a few weeks later my dad sat us all down and explained that our mom cheated on him because it's impossible for him to produce on his kids anymore. So my parents got divorced that February and my mom started a new life with the guy she cheated on. My dad does everything for us now and I'm so thankful to have him. Also, mom, if you come across this, you tramp ass trifling ass homewrecker built like a 2x4 goofy big forehead ass hair thinning ass face so wrinkled not even Botox can help you ass botch Brazilian butt lift ass still a stay at home mom with kids in high school ass wasted college degree ass ugly new husband spoiled new kids illegally blonde ass barbecue hens ass Fox News loving ass salt and pepper are spicy ass fuck you.
4th grade, I always wanted to pretend to pass out in class for attention. So one time during class I pretended to fall on the ground with my eyes closed out of nowhere. It hurt as fuck. One of the girls screamed and they rushed me to the nurse and called me parents. Me being a good actor I am, I kept the act up. While I was leaving the nurse with my mom, I noticed the whole school talking about how I passed out. So wanting more attention, I acted like I was going to pass out again. The nurse gave me an inhaler and I've been using it ever since. To this day, nobody knows it was fake. When I was 14, I met this guy on Snapchat and I was really starting to like him. We were talking about meeting up and decided to do it at a local park. The entire time we were there he was being a weirdo and staring at me. He started touching my face and telling me what nice skin I have. I was so uncomfortable. The next day he sent me a snap saying how cute am I 1 to 10. I ignored him and decided to take a nap. When I woke up I had about 1,000,000 snaps from him saying he was going to kill me and my family, and he sent pictures of me sleeping. I looked up and there he was staring at me from outside my window. I ran upstairs and he started banging on the door. I called the cops and they'd said they would be there in 5 minutes. He continued banging on the door and screaming things like, "You can't hide from me, beautiful." We were meant to be together. I was looking at him from the window upstairs but he couldn't see me. I watched the cops pull up and tackle him to the ground. He continues screaming as the cops put him into the car. A few days later my mom got a call from the cops and they said he was actually 18 and is going to be charged with stalking a minor. I have known this girl since we were 7 and I have always hated her, but when we were 13 she kept spreading rumors about me and my friends. Then we were all like, okay, let's get revenge. So after gym we took her shoes, and me and 2 of my friends went to our creek and shoved moss up the toes and one of them peed on them. Then we hiked to her house and threw them at her door. We never got caught. As I promised, here's another story of me and my brother Mateo. So basically this took place freshman year. We had lots of competition in soccer tryouts because everyone there was really good. We didn't let that bring us down. We tried out, but only I made varsity. He made JV, which for a freshman isn't bad, but he wasn't happy about it. I personally knew the coach because he was my boyfriend's dad at the time. He really liked me, so I convinced him to please give Mateo a second chance and prove himself. He agreed and Mateo went in to try out again. He got in varsity and to this day he doesn't know it was me. He's done his shares of good deeds for me, such as the time he saved me from a super creepy dude. So me and him went to the mall to buy some formal attire for some weird ass launch party for my dad's friend. That party was a hell of an experience and I'll save that for later. Anyway, we finished shopping and that day it was freezing outside. So he told me to stay inside and shop some more while he brings the car around. I stayed there and I guess he stayed a little longer because a weird middle-aged man kept hitting on me. Mateo swooped and told me to stay in the bathroom. He got the car and we left. One time when I was like 5, I was really scared of being alone. So I was in my 4-year-old brother's bedroom watching movies with him and we didn't know where the TV remote was, so I yelled at my mom so she will help us find it, but this bitch didn't answer, so I walked downstairs looking for my mom and she wasn't there, so I really started to freak out. And I remembered that one time my mom told me to call 911 on emergencies, so I thought it was an emergency and called the cops. As I was calling the police, my brother was crying and begging me to not call them, but I didn't care and called them. Then suddenly my mom comes out of the garage telling me to stop, and the lady in the phone was like, "I, mouth, I." So my mom hung up and started to yell at me, and then the cops were outside my house and my mom told us to stay in the house. She somehow convinced them that I was trying to call my grandpa in another country and I got the wrong number. Lol, thank you for your submission. One day I was about to take a shit, so I got on the toilet and pushed like I should, but I was constipated and it would not come out. Then I finally pushed and it came out, but it almost split my ass. Hehehehe. One day I was at school and I really hated this girl because she was so mean to me. So one day she dumped her smelly ass chocolate milk all over my backpack at lunch, and when I tell you it smelled so bad, it smelled worse than period blood, no joke, and I wanted to get back at her. So when we were on the playground, she was on the rock climbing wall and it was my turn, so she was taking her sweet ass time, so I kicked her off the wall and she broke both her arms. I never saw that dumb bitch again. When I was in 8th grade, my best friend told me that she got pregnant with her ex-boyfriend. After like 2 months her belly was growing and everyone found out that she was pregnant. I forgot to mention that I was the popular girl. Now she was getting all of the attention in school. I was mad, so at home I took all of the pills and bleach we had at home and put them in her drink at school. She died 3 hours later. Luckily I moved to another state. No one knows who poisoned her. This is true, by the way. I know it sounds messed up, but it's true. That was like 3 years ago though, so woman shrugging. Thank you for the submission. Hey whores. So this is my confession, please don't judge me, red heart. Last year before spring break I was texting this guy, let's call him Zach. So me and Zach were texting and planning on hanging out to do the dirty during spring break. Anyways, I had this guy friend, let's call him Danny, so I told Danny about Zach and everything. Later on Danny told me Zach had a girlfriend and I confronted Zach and cut him off. Also his girlfriend had me on Snap, so I texted her and exposed him with screenshots and everything. Then Danny suggested we should do the dirty. Instead I agreed, and during spring break I went to his house and we did the dirty. Shit was good. Later on that day I went to hang out with Danny's cousin who lives in the same apartments as Zach, and I saw Zach there. Long story short, we talked and we kissed that same day. I did the dirty with Danny cause I'm a bad bitch. After we kissed he asked me out. I said no. BC the fuck, you're a literal cheater, stupid cunt. I hate him, red heart. So this was one of my 6th grade relationships. So I was dating this guy and he texted one of my friends that he would break up with me for her. Like, what the fuck, are you okay in the head, you fat ass Dairy Queen McDonald's janitor? Anyway, so I confronted him and he was lying about it, but I had screenshots, so I broke up with the nasty fake bitch. Then a week later that friend asked if it was okay if she could date him, so me being me I said sure, knowing that later on I would get them both back because I am the baddest bitch. It was the end of the year and I had a pool party at my house with all my friends. And I was talking to the girl that stole my BF, just call her Becky or something, and I was like, well, if he did it to me he could do it to you, and so I came up with this plan to make it think it was her idea to catfish him. She agreed and all of the people at my party helped us make a fake account to catfish him, and then we got people that we know to follow the account to help it look real, and then we began to DM him. At first he didn't believe us, but then he texted a few of the girls at my party since they followed the fake account and he was asked. Okay, so once upon a time I was in 4th grade and we had this really bitchy teacher that nobody liked lol, so one day this rad looking whore gave me back my quiz that I stayed up all night with my mom to study for and I got a 70 since all the kids in the class hated her. We plotted something so evil you couldn't even imagine. Later that day, when she was handing out homework, I tripped her and she fell in the fish tank and the glass broke everywhere. She broke her hip and had to go to the hospital, but that bitch deserved it.
Thank you for your story.
One time when I was in middle school, I stayed home. My mom went to go get a facial, so she said she wouldn't be able to pick up her phone if I called. I was watching a movie when I heard people walking on the roof. I figured it was just the people who worked on our roof. But they started banging on the garage and trying to get in. I started to freak out and tried to call my mom, but then remembered she wouldn't pick up your phone. I tried to call my best friend, but she was at school. At this point, people are banging on the door and walking on the roof and etc. I thought I was going to fucking die, so I grabbed a knife and hid in the closet. I called the police and I'm sobbing hysterically. I thought I was going to die. The police came in. The people ended up being our AC workers that my mom forgot to tell me about. To this day I am mortified when they're around.
One time when I was in like 3rd grade, then me and my parents went over to our neighbor's house for their pool party. The whole neighborhood was there, a bunch of other adults. Anyways, basically I got into the hot tub and I kept thinking how I really had to fart, but I didn't want to in the hot tub because I knew it would make bubbles. Then I couldn't control it. I farted, but I didn't fart. I sharted and I knew it, so I went into their bathroom and I tried to wipe out the poo and then I rinsed out my swimsuit in their tub and I put it back on and walked home because I knew I would smell like actual shit and my parents didn't know where I went. Basically they thought I got kidnapped and they almost called the police, and then when everyone asked me why I went home without telling them, I couldn't tell them I sharted, so I lied and told them I didn't remember ever walking home and they thought I had an episode.